Could you briefly introduce yourself and your role in short drama industry?
Sure. My name is Jeshua Manu. I am the co-founder and the producer at VertiPlay, which is New Zealand's first a vertical production company and vertical production services company. My role and our role as a team is to pioneer the vertical drama space in this part of the world. It hasn't really been opened up to the world yet, and so that's my role in the vertical drama space.
You are the first one I've interviewed from New Zealand. So, what advantages does New Zealand offer for short drama production?
New Zealand has a couple of different advantages, both from the storytelling side and from the technical side. The first one that's a big ticket number is that there are no unions here. So producing a drama over here is just a lot easier. There's also no fringes, which also makes the process easier. There's a local rebate as well, which is up for grabs, which we've been chatting and we're in talks with the government with. And there've been some changes to that, which makes them more vertical friendly. But so we are, working on applying that rebate to vertical dramas. So that's on the technical side, what makes New Zealand, just a much easier place to get a vertical drama done. On the story side, New Zealand is the location premium for vertical dramas. New Zealand's very well known for, the fantasy kind of environments like Lord of the Rings and Narnia, and lots of beaches. So lots of the kind of fantasy verticals. There's a whole world here, which is just sitting here, and is a giant treasure trove. So great scenes also become accessible in New Zealand. Also, something that I think hasn't been tapped into in the world is Australasian, New Zealand, and Polynesian culture. I think we've seen recently across the world lots of interest in Polynesia, like with stars like Jason Momoa and his success with Chief of War. We see other contestants from other shows and stuff winning from Polynesia, but there's been lots of interest in that. And so I think opening that culture up to the world of this kind of tropical paradise is, I think that's a massive advantage to introducing Polynesian people and Polynesia to the world, and New Zealand and Australia too, with the big outbacks, in Australia. So I think there's a whole world of settings here that just have not been explored. So yeah.
How about casting? Are those how do you cast actors? Are those from traditional backgrounds or from commercial backgrounds? How do they see verticals?
To cast the verticals?
Those actors know about verticals because I have a friend who just in Italy, they don't know about verticals. They thought it's just like TikTok thing.
Yes, it's funny that verticals have reached New Zealand, but in this kind of very I might say private way, where out in the open and everyone, like the older generation aren't really aware of what microdramas are, but that the young people, and particularly the women, are very engaged here. But for the cast that I've interacted with and have gotten onto my productions, they've been part of some microdramas before. Some of them have been over to China and filmed vertical productions over there. So they're aware. There was, to some of them, I do have to introduce the concept, but it is, there's a presence here and lots of curiosity from the cast about what this is and where this is going, and the potential for legitimacy in the space. There's a lot of curiosity from the cast. And awareness, but so growing curiosity.
When you do the casting, if someone from traditional film and TV background or commercial background, is there any difference when they do the performing?
Yes, I had the director mainly, but when I'm having the chats with our cast, from those who come from the commercial background, I have to tell them almost to kind of undo what they have learned how to do in traditional filmmaking, where they give very, it's all in the expression and it's all very realistic. And so coaching them out of that and saying, this is more like theatre, where we want big reactions, and no nuance. We want big, no subtlety, big reactions, big emotions. But what I found a great success is that this style of acting brought out a lot of fun and brings out a lot of fun in the cast. They really enjoy themselves, kind of letting loose from the, having the shackles of trying to give a Meryl Streep performance. They, have a lot of fun giving 100% all of the time. So really having to give them the permission to go over the top. And I found that in the cast, I found that to be I thought about like drawing blood from a stone, bit hard, but the people that we've interacted with, the cast that we've interacted with have been very enthusiastic about taking on the microdrama style of acting.
I'm still curious about the actors. Do you know how many roughly are in New Zealand?
That's a good question because of nature here in New Zealand at the moment. From the sense that I get, I'm not sure on the microdrama side how many are there. There are people here, they kind of do both, the commercial and dipping their toes into the microdrama space as well. So there isn't at the moment that pool of actors, but that's what we are actively trying to work on, and that's what we've done with the one we've shot already, is bringing them into this pool and making actors so that it can be this rotating thing and everyone can see. So not many at the moment, but it's growing. As I say, as we put the word out, people became pretty interested in being a part of this.
You also mentioned about the audience watching those. I'm curious about the audience in New Zealand, of course, in Australia as well. So what kind of stories resonate most?
There's not a whole lot of data on what the audience is here in New Zealand and Australia in terms of vertical dramas, but from the people that I've interacted with and from what we see with traditional film and TV patterns is that with this genre, we still, in Australia, still really enjoy the over-the-top high fantasy stuff. Not quite as much as in China and other places across Asia, even in the USA. Not quite as far-fetched, I would say, the stories. Still like their stories rooted in some kind of realism. So not so much the, my dragon boyfriend and those kinds of things. More of the business types and things in real life, but still with that heightened sense of drama and emotion. So it goes in the same vein as traditional microdrama audiences, but does enjoying the slices of real life in there too, to put themselves in there. New Zealand and Australia are quite down to earth, and realistic people, and our content is often TV and film content is often about real life. And so that's reflected in the watching patterns for these as well. We still like that high drama, which is really cool because New Zealanders and Australians aren't known for that, known to be quite like English people where there's not a lot of emotion. And so to see these audiences, really enjoy some of the over-the-topness is quite cool.
Have you met any microdrama viewer or audience in your real life? How do you get into?
I got through fan fiction, through reading fan fiction, and I think which one of the platforms? But Wattpad, one of the major Wattpad, which was one of these big fan fiction websites. So that's how I got into it, was through that avenue. But through and that's also how lots of the other people kind of around me got into it as well, from the books that were being produced and then the books leading on to the visual stories, but also just through, just through the ads that we see on YouTube and TikTok. There's not a lot of public discussion about it, but almost everyone that I talk to and say, oh, I'm doing this, they know about it, and their wife or their daughter, I mentioned their wife or their daughter, and I watched that, I know this. And so there's big enthusiasm, just like the public press circle yet, I guess. But even in the Cook Islands, my family is from, this tiny island in the Pacific. I have friends and family also watching it over there. So yeah, it is definitely a part of our media culture now. It's just about being brave enough to get on, and make it
Is
ourselves.
any local media talk about microdrama? Let's say from New
That,
Zealand.
yes, just kind of recently, there's a couple of articles put out. There is, I know, one other lady here in New Zealand who is also trying to make a microdrama. And there have been some forums as well. One of our girls has posted a vertical drama. It is just starting, kind of with everything else in New Zealand. We're about 20 years late to everything. And so I see that happening with that as well. The world has caught on about 4 years ago. And now our organizations are starting to catch on to it. But I've been working at this for a little while now, trying to get ahead of that. So the public is becoming more aware and wanting to, get into it because, this is the way of the future, isn't it? I think you'd be a bit silly to ignore it. I think it's too big to ignore anymore.
Sure. I know you're a production company and you produce microdramas. How did you get into this microdrama? What was the first one you produced? And if you can redo it again, what kind of things you want to redo?
First got into it just because we realized that there was this gap, that this grand opportunity that no one was jumping on, and it was called microdramas. And so all I did was got one of my writer friends and asked her to write a script for me. And then we got a bunch of we self-funded our first little project. And we got a bunch of our mates together and we shot our proof of concept, and have been, selling that to the world. I was previously in long form, and so just the realizing that long form was going like this and verticals were going like that, really, motivated us to jump on. The first one that we shot is called Beauty and the Beat. My boss is a has-been rock star, so it's a fairy tale based one, but still based in real life. If I could go back and shoot that again, I would say there are a couple of things. I would not worry so much about some of the little details and just go for it instead of freaking out about those small things, because these dramas are stories, and so it's the story that carries it. And so there are some things are kind of forgivable if the story is good. And so I wouldn't stress so much about those things that I need to stress out about. I would also get a bunch of more, this is on the technical side, a bunch more coverage. We had a little time at the end of the day, on a couple of days, and has pushed just to get some more coverage because of the quick moving shots that microdramas are. And realizing how much of that we needed, was something to remember in the back pocket, that if you have more time, blimmin' use it. Get as much as you can because of how dynamic the shooting is,
You mentioned about more detail. What kind of details did you pay too much attention to at that time?
Yes, the costume department was quite concerned about a pair of pants that our leading man was wearing. Should it be this color pair of pants? And we were a couple of days away from shooting, and just the pants weren't quite right. And should we get this international shipment in for these pants? And the set coordinator was quite worried about some of the cups, I think, on the bench. We talked about having to kind of get out of their regular shooting style. We had to coax some of the crew out of their regular shooting style too, and more of that let loose kind of attitude towards it. Yeah, so when I mean details, I mean these details. Don't worry about the socks that they're wearing. If it's not crucial to the plot, it's okay. Go and get a $10 pair of pants, and down the road, everything will be fine. Focusing on telling that story and getting that emotion across, because the pants aren't going to get the emotion across.
Let's pause for a second. A lot of people watch short drama and think this doesn't look that hard. But once you actually try to write one yourself, you realize short drama doesn't written like traditional film or TV. It's product thinking, audience expectation, pacing, and app buying logic. That's why we created Short Drama Writing 101, a practical course with real case studies, a self-paced online course with real case breakdowns, scene analysis, and access to our Discord creator community.
Why do you cast those male and female main characters? Do you meet them in person before shooting?
Yes, we did. Why we cast these actors in particular was definitely about attitude. Like I say, in the public realm, there's not a lot of exposure about microdramas as a legitimate media form. And there is some kind of, looking down the nose at it. We had a couple of actors who, I'm an actor kind of stuff. Finding people who were, well, first of all, correct look that we needed, and then second, brought the correct attitude of I can make this work, and I'm going to put my 100 in. If even if the actor, unlike traditional media where you need someone to be a very good or realistic actor to kind of sell it, these actors don't have to be like good in the traditional sense, but I think they do have to bring that attitude because you're selling to the audience, these stories, and they've got to buy that these people want to be in these centers. So I looked for attitude alongside the look, and for the look, I wanted them to be Kiwi looking people. And there's this real kind of we have this man called like the Deep South kind of man who's kind of ruggedy, and so that's the kind of man that I was looking for. Our lead actress, I think she's part Maori. And she's Māori and Croatian, so able to have one of our Indigenous women there too. So looks and attitude. Attitude was big.
I know you produce scripts from platform. You also produce your own microdrama. Why do you write story? How do you design the story?
Well, first, I wanted to go for variety. I also wanted to, with some of vertical dramas and microdramas, they kind of err into the space of perhaps exploitation. With the scripts, I wanted to fill the need for fantasy and for safe space to enjoy this kind of otherworldly experience without having to compromise some of the morals that you might look at. But so the script that I've chosen to develop from our original IP, a wide variety. So I've got a crime thriller one, got a historical one, there's one about life on a farm. So I really wanted to do I want to do them all, like a widespread, but stuff that's not exploitative while also playing into those avenues of escapism.
Did you self-fund this production?
Yes, that's right.
Is there any government support?
Yes, well, that's what we are talking with the government currently about applying and making that official, because microdramas haven't existed for very long. There's just not the technical framework but that's what we're actively establishing, is so that there is support for that from government, and so that there's a sustainable business model here. Because what we don't want is for we're not looking to make one at a time. We want to make a whole pipeline, and so that will definitely have to come with some government infrastructure. And we're working on that. So that support should manifest sometime very soon.
Yeah, that's smart because in China, it's quite a big industry. The local government, they're supporting at least this company. They got the tax refund. They have some filming bases, filming hubs at a very low rate. They're just welcoming like film crews to come to their city to shoot microdramas.
For a low rate.
Yeah.
Clever. And that's what we're trying to establish here. And it's looking positive because, as I say, it's too big to ignore now. And I think people, including the government, can't really deny that it requires, infrastructure.
At least they can provide some tax refund for companies, because those microdrama, they shoot in a very short period of time. It creates a lot of opportunities for cinematographers, directors, actors. So it's a huge industry. If the government can have some tax refund or some support, that this
Yes.
industry will go altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, as you say, these quick productions, you can't be waiting like a year for your return on one that you shot in 2023 or whatever. And so, yeah, the government structures which already exist should facilitate that quite well. It's just about getting it in writing, you know.
And how do you define short drama, and what is the essence or core of microdrama?
Yes, the three words that I think of when I think of short drama and microdramas and vertical dramas, I think of privacy, think of intimacy, and I think of convenience. You know, when we, in previous generations, we've gone to the movies together. You know, we've had the movies, and that's been an experience. You go with your friends, and then we've had TV, and that's communal. You watch with your family, and now we've got media for our phones. And this media is not designed to be viewed as a family, you know, as a group. It's meant to be a private experience. And I think that is really key in terms of understanding the content that this demands, is that it's not traditional. Yeah, this is a private experience. And it's intimate. And I don't just mean like like the content, that it's the content. I mean the relationship that you have with these stories, you know, it's you and it's your phone. Previous to this, I think lots of women were getting, would get lost in a romance novel. And so I think it has a lot of the same qualities as a romance novel. So I think it's private, it's intimate, and it's convenient. Now you can watch it on your phone. You know, it just continues to get more and more stressful, I think, for all of the circumstances of the world. And we are working more, and we are with our families more, and we're trying to do all of these things, and it's hard to commit to like a 2-hour thing at the end of the day, which you might not like, and putting it on the telly. But microdramas allow a hardworking person to enjoy some media content in a private setting.
The story, let's say I enjoy, probably different from the story you enjoy, right? Each one of you probably enjoy different stories. Is that what you mean, private?
Or maybe personal is maybe the word, that it's personal to you. I wouldn't put one of the microdramas that I watch for myself and that I enjoy on the television to watch. You know, I wouldn't do that. It's a personal experience, and I think it's personal media consumption. And I don't think we've really had personal catered media. So you can, because it's personal, you can choose whichever story you want, you know, without any shame. And you can curate it quite exactly and enjoy it by yourself.
What about thriller? I know the romance stories, especially some scenes, it's not kind of good to project in the television and watch with your mom. But what about those thriller story? Can everyone enjoy as well?
Yeah. And I think we'll get on to talking about what the future of the industry looks like soon. But we just see this thing expanding, you know, into everything. I think that there is something for everyone on there. Yeah, I love the thriller and the crime. How to Tame a Silver Fox, one of my number ones. But personally, one of mine. I think those high octane and kind of thrill rides. Yeah, I think there's stuff for everyone. We see horror, you know, we're starting to see documentaries. So personal in the sense that you could choose whatever, you know, whatever you wanted, and it's all right there. And there are so many options. I'm personally quite excited about the expansion into other genres like thriller and horror and stuff as well. Really exciting.
So from your perspective, do women have any unique advantages in this industry?
Yeah, I think we do. I think that, as we say, this expands to include everyone, and there's something for everyone on there. But I think this has come from women, and it is primarily, you know, has been for women. When I go into kind of high executive meetings, and there are men there, they're mostly older men, and there's a woman there as well, and she and I often know exactly what we're talking about and what the kind of that we need and that will sell and that will resonate. And we understand what this is. And I see a lot of the men in the room be quite dumbfounded about why this is so big, about why people are engaging and with content that they might turn their nose up, but the women seem to understand and know because it's been for them and been by them. Because women haven't had access to the big screen, there have been so many barriers for women and the kind of female-centric content, not just having females on the screen, but having it's from the female's point of view, and it's for the female view, and it's not for the male gaze, it's for the female gaze. Women are just so severely underrepresented on the big screen, and that female gaze is just so heavily male gaze. I think women have picked up this microdrama ball and just run with it. That's why I love it, is because it's just full of the female gaze.
What about the disadvantages that this women face in short drama space?
The stuff that you just go through every day. The woman that's just, reflective. Going into these meetings, I have, my male partner with me who started VertiPlay with me, and we go into these meetings and I'm the face of our company, and they'll still talk to him. And when I'm talking, they'll just talk over me, and my voice and my viewpoint is just not taken as seriously by some of the people who have been in long-standing positions very long. I think also as well, we see with the content being put out, there's still a lot of exploitation towards women. I enjoy lots of these things because lots of these fantasies are from the female point of view. And so they're not, I think there's a danger with some of the microdramas that lots of the ones that get clicks and views that have extreme things happen in them, and we see violence and we see, all of these kinds of crazy storylines. And lots of the time that's violence directed to or about women, and so while I respect some fantasies that some people may have, I think that there's a danger of just using the woman as a commodity again, as something to abuse for clicks. And I don't think that's right. I don't think we have to have that. So I think that are still viewed as something that's exploitable, and that in these big spaces are still facing hurdles just being taken seriously, or as an equal to the men who are making this. And that's incredible because it's been just really pioneered by women the whole time.
How do you see AI in microdrama? Because last year, AI microdrama was booming in China, and later you might see a lot of the AI microdramas, the English AI microdramas in the market. Have you seen any?
Yes, I have. This is such an interesting point of discussion. I was out in Hong Kong earlier, and that was the hot topic, in the vertical drama space was AI. And seeing, some of the releases come out was, crazy to kind of see what it can do. In terms of seeing the statistics and what people are clicking on and if they can, AI versus not. We're seeing at the moment that like the click rates between AI generated content and not AI generated content are kind of the same. The ones that are AI generated that are successful kind of have a running theme, and that's that the script has been written by a human, and the script has been generated by a robot, and AI isn't capable of coming up with original ideas. And so I think the gold of that and the human experience and that can't be replaced. At the moment, we definitely employ AI as a tool in terms of bridging those gaps, in VFX and certain scenes, that would be really difficult. So being AI native and incorporating it is an important part of our company, and those cost reductions. But knowing that it can't replace everything and it can't replace that thing that people are looking for, I think when they go to microdramas, Spark started with a human.
Right, because actually film art is more like a film industry event. It's not even a microdrama event. But how do you see the future of microdrama?
I think it's wide open. I think the future of microdramas is so wide open. And I think it's just expanding and expanding. I think that this is like, we've gone from radio, and then we had television, and now we've got our phones. And I think this is the next big turnover in terms of how we consume media and content. So that will eventually absorb all kinds of media, news, documentaries, like we're saying, thrillers and stuff, everything. I think it will encapsulate it all. As I said before, I think parts of it could go, if we don't have right leadership, if the people who are being platformed and lifted up as the leaders of it, and if they are people who would continue to exploit women and children and other things for these microdramas, I think it could go down, there's potential for it to go down a darker path, because the internet is a crazy place, and that's, our environment that you're putting these things on. So there's always kind of that potential. I think that if we champion these primarily women, who are spearheading this, or who can navigate that is the internet, I think the sky is the limit. I think everyone will be consuming it that way, and that it will, if you want to be successful in the film industry or whatever industry, I think you need to be in the microdrama space as well, because who can say where it's going to go? And that's what gets me excited, is that everywhere else it seems just really, really depressing, and in the microdrama space, it's just a baby, and it's growing, and that brings me a lot of hope. I have hope for the future, a lot of optimism about what microdramas could bring about. Also, the kinds of cover, I think we saw a big revolution with people having access to mobile phone cameras and being able to show lots of things that the regular media, wouldn't be able to show, because it has to go through all of these kind of red tapes and loopholes, and we have less of that with the microdramas. So things, I think, what we can cover and bring to the world is way different than we've ever before.